A new ABC News Ipsos poll finds majorities of Americans disapprove of the president's handling of inflation, the economic recovery, and taxes. Kansas Republican Senator Roger Marshall joins us now. He's a member of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. In just a moment, I'm going to replay the Jen Psaki sound that I stepped on there because she had something interesting to say, and I want to get your reaction to it, Senator. But first, just tell us a little bit about the inflation situation and where you see the blame as lying.
Well, John, certainly the issue of inflation is the #1 problem that I'm hearing from folks back home. And this is Bidenflation, a 39-year high created by Joe Biden. Think about his policies that have caused this inflation. First of all, he borrowed an extra $3 trillion on top of the regular $5 trillion. So they're spending money like drunken sailors. Next, think about his energy policy. So we shut off the supply by shutting off pipelines, by stopping drilling on public lands, by making it hard to borrow money in that field as well. And then finally, he's paying people more to stay at home than to go to work. So that created labor shortages and supply chain problems as well. So really, Joe Biden owns this inflation problem.
Well, his spokeswoman, Jen Psaki, says those aren't the reasons. She says it's COVID. Listen.
What we're seeing in our data is people's psychology on the economy, on how they're experiencing things in the country right now is related to COVID. And the fact that COVID, we're still in a fight against this virus. People expected it to be over sooner. We have new variants that have come up, and people are looking to get back to a normal version of life. And so that's our best assessment.
I suppose you could say that, paying people to stay home, which was maybe a necessity in the early months of the COVID pandemic, that might cause some inflation, but is it responsible for everything that we're seeing?
Well, that's why we call her Jen Spin Psaki, right? She spins everything to protect the president. But look, 92% of Americans have some level of immunity to the virus now. So I think it's time to stop blaming COVID. I think they should blame it exactly where the fault lies, on borrowing too much money, on printing money, on paying people to stay home, on stopping energy. Certainly, COVID had nothing to do with stopping the pipeline and stopping drilling on public lands, right? This is on the back of Joe Biden.
I want to put on the screen the Wall Street Journal poll results on how people are feeling about the economy right now. 30% say it's going in the right direction. More than twice as many, 61%, say it is going in the wrong direction. And about 9% said they just didn't know. That's a pretty negative poll, on what is generally perceived to be the president's primary interest, the state of the economy.
Yeah, John, I'm surprised it's not worse. I mean, my phone blows up every time someone goes to the grocery store, right? Have you been to the grocery store lately? Have you been to fill your truck up? I have a Dodge Ram truck. It costs $100 to fill my truck up right now. And of course, this disproportionately impacts people that are on fixed incomes, seniors, young families living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation is a social injustice.
Yeah, my Ford F-150 doesn't like going to the gas pumps these days, I'll tell you that. Looking at the inflation numbers from November of 2020 to November of 21, some of the increases are eye-popping. Bacon is up 21%, steaks up 25%, gas up 60%, furniture 12%, sporting goods 8.4%. How does this turn around, Senator?
Well, we need different policies, right? We've got to stop borrowing and spending more money. Think about what the Democrats want to do right now. Joe Biden wants to borrow another $5 trillion from our grandchildren already, in addition to the annual budget of $5 and the $3 trillion he's already borrowed as well. So we got to stop these policies. We got to incentivize people to go back to work, not stay at home. It's a very simple economics. We have to undisrupt those supply chains by getting people back to work. This is not hard arithmetic. Very simple. Getting back to basics will do it.
Very quick answer, please. Your fellow Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat, is promising that they can get the Build Back Better bill passed through the Senate before Christmas. Can that happen? Should it happen?
I don't see that happening. I think Joe Biden's going to listen to the people of Joe Manchin's going to listen to the people of West Virginia who don't want more inflation, who don't want us to borrow more money. Joe knows that. He's a shrewd politician. He knows that the people of West Virginia will not support this. And I think Kyrsten Sinema down there in Arizona is feeling the same heat as well. They don't want more inflation.
Kansas Republican Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.